Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. All machine tools are built with a specific purpose in mind. Specific capacities, specific uses. The manufacturers would have you follow all these rules and stay between the lines and do as you're told. Now this video is not for those people. This video is for you guys. People who do what it takes, no matter what, get her done using what you have and your wits. You know who you are. So with that being said, we are going to sharpen this tap today, but we are not going to use a tool and cutter grinder. In the past, we've shown how to sharpen a tap in arguably the most professional, most expensive, most complicated, and best way possible, but not everyone has that equipment. So today we're going to do something different to sharpen this tap. Most people watching this channel either have or are interested in getting a mill or a mini mill, and so that's what we're going to use today because I think it's an awful lot more common than a tool and cutter grinder. And we're not going to use any fancy fabrications, any pricey equipment. We're just going to wing it with regular everyday stuff that most people probably have lying around, and if they don't have it lying around, they can probably pick it up or make something on their own cheap. Now I know that this video is going to anger some people greatly. I can already hear the wheel guard guys just going nuts over this, and that's fine. My official position is always use your wheel guards, follow all the manufacturer's instructions and safety precautions, wear your helmet, your teeth guard, whatever, do everything as safe as you can. That's my official position. My unofficial position, however, is that any tool can be the right tool, and with just a little creativity, you can pull off almost anything with limited stuff. So let's get into this. We have to hold this tap with something, and rather than using a super rare, super expensive cam relieving fixture, we're using some simple tailstocks. You can see here this tap has a little wear on it. It's nothing extreme, there's no chips, there's no massive damage, but there is some wear. You can see these shiny spots right on the leading edges all the way down, and it's those we're going to get rid of today by taking a minimum skim off of the face of the tooth. Full disclosure, I've never done this before, but I believe I can do it, and that's at least half the battle. We'll need to index this from tooth to tooth somewhat accurately. And for that, I'm just using any old spring-loaded finger pointer. And this device does not belong with this machine, nor do these tailstocks, but it's all going to work just fine. Although the plot of today's video is how to do things just with whatever you have lying around, it is pretty important that we get this tooth face running true in this direction because we don't want to change the rake angle that's on the face of these teeth. Just caught myself preparing to make a bit of a mistake here. I actually have this pointer set up touching the face of a tooth. And that's no good because the face of this tooth is going to get ground away and the part will rotate, and then the next tooth is going to do different things than the last tooth. That's simply not going to work. I need to point off the tail of a tooth. Another potential issue with what I have set up right here is I'm not pointing off of the tooth I'm grinding on. Now, this is fine if all of your flutes came from the factory on perfect index, but if they're not on perfect index, that's going to cause you trouble, and you'd be far better off pointing off of the tooth you're grinding on. So I'm going to attempt to get my pointer in there to touch off the backside of the tooth that I'm actually grinding on. I've got that tooth face leveled out now, and it's time to choose a grinding wheel. Now, I do have a grinding wheel that's been relieved, so if you look, the scale is touching here and over here, but there's a gap in the middle. And so what that's going to do is it's going to leave a nice flat surface. So of course this wheel will be upside down the other way, and I can run it back and forth across the teeth and maintain exactly what rake angle is on there now. I do think it's important to point out that I don't have a proper way of holding a grinding wheel in my milling machine, but I do have a slitting saw arbor that fits, of course, into the milling machine, and I have a sleeve that was just lying around that gets this up to the bore size of the wheel. Now you can see I'm going to be hanging onto this wheel by very little. That's a little bit less than a 1/16 of an inch is all that's going to be contacting the wheel. And you might think, wow, that's a bad idea. You need a whole lot more than that. And I guess we're going to find out. I don't believe we do need a whole lot more than that. I think this is going to be just fine. So we're all set to go. I've got my pointer at the back of the tooth, which I'm actually going to be cutting on. I have my tooth faces leveled out with the dial so that I know I'm going to recreate the same rake angle that's on there now. And so I'm also spinning my wheel in a direction that will tend to tighten the mounting bolt, not loosen it. That's always important, especially when you're doing questionable stuff like this. I am not going to have my face in the line of fire, the disc of death, the radial retaliation. Let's see what happens. I can hear I'm just starting to touch, and you can see I'm touching in a ways from the actual cutting edges of the teeth, which is fine. The reason I'm touching there is because it starts curving up quite a bit, and I wanted to be deep enough that I get the rake cleaned up at the proper angle all the way to the depth that it will cut at. So I'm going to come down a couple thou with my quill, and I'm going to start feeding across with my cross slide. It's actually a very nice, very gentle grinding action. You can see we're starting to clean up the actual cutting areas on the teeth now. Here you can see our leading edges are all nice and crisp now. All those little shiny spots of damage are gone, and we have a nice sharp tap here once again. Now there is one downside to this method of sharpening a tap, and that is that you're only going to be able to do this so many times before your tooth becomes so thin it becomes delicate. Whereas when you're sharpening the lead-in relief, you could do that over and over and over and over and over, and the tap will get a little bit shorter, but the teeth won't get any weaker. That is the only downside to this. Otherwise, this is by far the easiest, cheapest, and fastest way to breathe new life into an old tap. Some of the negative opinions are going to be, you shouldn't grind on a lathe. Well, fair enough. I do it all the time. And my trick is, I clean the living heck out of my lathe the second I'm done. I vacuum it all down, I wipe it down, I blow it off if need be. I make that thing just as clean as can be, and that way it doesn't do any damage at all. Now this method of holding the wheel is really going to get the wheel guard guys heated up, because I'm holding it by about 50 thousandths of an inch only. And here's why I feel safe doing it. First of all, this was only spinning at about 1,000 RPM, and it's a very light little grinding wheel. I could easily take this in the gut at 1,000 RPM. Wouldn't do me any harm at all. So that's why I felt safe doing it. I was also very confident that this was not going to just up and blow up. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Patreon members, we'll see you at the live stream tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.